All right, so why build logic apps? Primarily, want something visual that users can pick up on and start building in a matter of minutes. It simplifies integration experience into comprehensible building blocks through actions and triggers. It's available on most of the popular development platforms, including VS, Visual Studio Code, and Portal, and it almost ties in effortlessly with all the Azure. Most importantly, you have functions, a PIM, event grid, and service bus, which you can integrate as well through Logic Apps. And it is resilient and it could be trusted for mission critical workloads for any enterprise grade scale level as well. So, as with any good integration solution, we want to ensure that you can connect to anything, right? So we have REST SOAP endpoints, cloud services, and of course your own services. But we have about 400 plus out of the box connectors that you can just simply search and add to your workflow in the designer, which you'll soon see in the demo. And we want to make sure that if you have data in one place and you wish to act upon to do something elsewhere, we have that and we can help you to do that. And just want to also highlight that you can also build your own custom connectors, which are not just available for out of the box, right? Logic Apps also has, like I'd say, three types of triggers. First being recurrence, which runs on a particular schedule, event-based, which is triggered on an event, and HTTP request, which is for any REST SOAP APIs. So with that being said, let's look at Azure Logic Apps as a part of broader integration services. So it ties in with functions. You can simply call a function with an action, or you can even integrate it with like mission critical event grid and service bus, messaging and event systems. That being said, let's also look at the runtime options. So we have a couple SKUs, the first being consumption. This primarily runs on Azure only, is multi-tenant, and you only pay per action. Standard, however, which is new runtime, runs pretty much on everything, including Azure Arc, is single tenant, and only built for whatever the container it is running in. So this, of course, carries a lot of weight in terms of you can locally debug, locally develop, and control in over what it could run in, right? So you can also integrate in pretty much anywhere, like on-prem or on Azure. So in addition, it's also gotten the nice looking designer, which you'll see, and works great for monitoring with application insights. So without further ado, let's look into the demo and let's go about looking at what we have here. We have a Logic app that I've already set up. This is primarily going to hold workflows, the connections and parameters, but workflows is what you want to build and start from. So you can go about adding a workflow. I'll add a stateful type, given that we're in a hello world place, we'll create a hello world workflow. And in this workflow, what I will do is it will simply be a weather API, which will take in a particular HTTP request, a zip code, and get the weather in that particular zip code and send you a response based on if it's sunny or not, adding a condition. So let's go about simply adding an HTTP trigger. A Logic app is always triggered by one trigger. So you simply have this trigger here, and you can generate sample JSON payload by simply adding the particular piece of object that you want to be able to pass in. So let's say zip code, and this generates JSON for you. So you don't even quite need to know how to write JSON. And now let's go about getting the weather at that particular location. So we can simply search for the action for get weather. And you can specify the particular location, which is the zip code that we're passing in. You can simply select it from the dynamic content. Once that is done, you want to specify also the units, which is metrics. And you also want to be able to add another action, which is a condition-based action, wherein you want to check if the temperature that is being returned from the previous action, get current weather. You see you have a rich ecosystem of all these particular fields that you can use as well. And it's the same for a lot of connectors. So if the temperature is greater than, let's say, 15 degrees Celsius, we want to be able to, let's say, give a response saying that it is sunny. And also let the user know of the temperature units, for example, and say, I think this is due to my zooming in, but finally, got it is sunny. And once that is done, I want to, in the false branch, I want to specify that it is not sunny. So you see, without writing quite like any piece of code, you are simply able to just call a bunch of APIs and integrate. And you can also have actions that will be for the particular service on Azure. So be it service bus, getting messages, implementing patterns. You can do all of those things through Logic Apps. And this should say it is not sunny. Perfect. So let's save this. And let's go about triggering this workflow. It's an HTTP trigger, so we would have to pass in a payload. You can use Postman or Visual Studio Code, any clients to basically call this app. But you can use the run with payload feature, which is in the overview blade. You can simply say, hey, I want to run the trigger, but run the trigger with payload. So I can pass in any particular piece of header or body. Here, I want to pass in the zip code, which I will be like, this is it, and I can run it. So let's see what we get as a response. We get the weather, and it says it is sunny. So in a matter of a few minutes, you just set up your own API. And you can also see the run history. So let's see if you want to like check the inputs and outputs. So you can see the input was the location, which is the zip code, and it has a rich, fields that, that it can tell us about all the weather conditions. But that's pretty much it. Thank you.